Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, June 6th, 2024. The time is 5:02 p.m. And we're going to call this hearing to order, which is for a public review of the proposed school committee budget for fiscal year 2025. So let me segue over to the chair of the budget subcommittee to go over the logistics for this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a public hearing and just that, so if anybody wishes to speak in person, you would just approach the podium. If you are participating online, I ask that you use the Q&A function to put your name and address in for the record, or use the raise hand feature if you would like to ask any questions as it pertains to the Malden Public Schools 2024-2025 budget.
Okay. Again, just approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Why don't we go online right now? Anybody online? Okay, we'll go back to the audience. Let's see. Anybody wishing to address the school committee can do so now. Seeing.
Would leave it open for 5 minutes.
Okay. Any objections? Chair has none. In the meantime, any questions of the members of the chair? Okay. If all had a chance to review it, it's online for review.
It will be discussed at our 6 p.m. meeting.
Yeah, so again, everybody knows where we go from here is at our 6 o'clock meeting. We'll take it up for a vote. I guess one thing we've learned this evening is never to hold a public hearing on the night that Celtics are kicking off the finals. We have our budget director here. Anything you want to add?
I think realistically, it's not the Celtics, it's the fact that we pulled together a budget that rivals
That's worth putting on the microphone. Yep.
districts right now.
Yep.
They're making major cuts.
Chair of the Budget Subcommittee wanted to state for the record that it's not so much the Celtics, it's the work of this body, which is why people aren't here right now. But what we can do is those that wanted to be here and couldn't attend for whatever reason, they can still email us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and we received some emails, questions in regards to the budget that we've directed to our finance manager, and she's been able to, answer those and, point them into the direction of what they're looking for, so.
Okay. And at some point, we'll adjourn the meeting? Yeah. Give it a few more minutes. We'll say 10 past. That work for everyone? Okay. Mr. Mudge, tonight is your lucky night, as we're going to be adjourning. Who wants to make the motion? Motion by Ms. Spadafora, seconded by Mr. Gray. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Public hearing on the budget is hereby adjourned.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Hi, Fox Translation. I'm just
Hi,
going to
great to
run
see
through and
you.
make sure everybody that's supposed to be here is here. And then we'll do our quick activation of the channels, make sure everybody can hear us, but we cannot hear you, and then we'll get the show on the road.
Super. Yes, everyone is online who's meant to be here.
Oh, for some reason, Martha, I cannot hear you on our end, but Council Chambers is very loud right now. Let me just,
Can
hold
you
on
hear me,
one
Miss
second.
Spadafora?
Can you say something, Martha?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Still not hearing you.
Uh-oh.
Let me just check our end. Bear with me. Martha, can I have you say something again? Nope. All right, bear with me. off now.
Oh, yeah,
So
right,
that's, so. Volumes?
See if they can say anything.
All right, we're gonna try one more time, Martha.
Okay, can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you very, very slightly.
uh-oh. Do you want to try Bella, maybe see if all of
I
the
guess.
sounds are
I don't
affected
know
or
what
just
this
mine?
is. Might have to wait until
Hi,
everybody quiets down.
hi, Miss Spadafora. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing.
Uh-oh.
All right, Martha, we have tech here, so I don't know. Can you say something for me?
Yeah, how is this? Any chance? It's working? No work? No. Um, how about now?
Got the wrong speaker audio on? Nope.
Oh,
Testing.
testing. Any luck? Testing. Can you hear me
Martha,
now?
we're going to double check and make sure it's not just you. So I don't know if, are you, I see
Testing.
you, Bella.
Hi.
I'm
Can
going
you
to have
hear
you
me?
test.
Can you hear me?
Nope, can't hear you either. So it's
No?
definitely on
Okay.
our end.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Everybody that's in council
Testing.
chambers. Excuse me. Can I just have everybody just quiet down for a moment? We're having technical difficulties and I cannot hear the translators to even see if their volume's working. So I just need it quiet for a second. Martha, can you go ahead and try to say something
Yes,
again?
any luck? Can you hear me? Still no.
Okay. I can hear you on like one lonely speaker somewhere, but it's not projecting into council chambers. So give
Oh
us 1
no.
second while we, sorry.
That's okay.
All right, Martha, because we technically
Yes.
don't need to hear you guys per se here in council chambers, we're going to get going and I'm going to activate the the channels right now, but obviously if there's any issues, I have my phone right in front of me. You have my number. Text me if you guys experience anything on your end and can't get my attention.
Okay, we will. Thank you.
All right. All right, I activated the channels, Fox Translation. If you guys can just each say something. Well, I didn't hear you to begin with, but now I definitely don't hear you, so it looks like channels are all set. Thanks, guys.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the Malden School Committee meeting to order. Today is Thursday, June 6, 2024. The time is 6:05 p.m. We do not have another meeting planned. We will let the community know once we schedule the meetings in September onward. If there is something that requires us to come back together in the summer, obviously, we'll let the committee know as well as the public. This evening's agenda consists of the following. As always, we will pledge allegiance to our flag. We'll then have a moment of silence for those who have served our country. Our clerk will then take attendance to ensure that we have a sufficient number of members to be able to come together legally this evening. And then we will get into this evening's agenda. The agenda consists of 7 items. The first one is the approval of minutes from May 6th, May 13th, May 16th, May 29th. The second item is public comment. That's an opportunity for members of the public to address the school committee. We only require that you state your name and address for the record. The time allotted per speaker is 3 minutes. Then we will go to the superintendent's report. Under there are 2 items. One is the district updates and highlights, and we also have Malden's 375th essay contest. From there, we're going to go to subcommittee reports and discussions. 2 items under there. First is the budget subcommittee. The next one is policy and procedures. Item number 5, there are 7 motions this evening. One is the adoption of the contract for Superintendent-Elect Dr. Timothy Sippel, and that will be for the years 2024 through 2027. We also have the Malden Public Schools budget for 2024-2025. School improvement plans is the 3rd item. The 4th item is the Student Family Handbook, pre-K through 12th grade. Number 5 is Program of Studies, pre-K through 12th grade. Number 6 is we have a resolution that we're going to take up in support of the Massachusetts Senate amendment to create a Chapter 70 task force. And then finally, student enrollment of school department personnel. From there, we'll then move to personal privilege. That's an opportunity for members of the committee to let the public know what's happening in their respective wards. And then finally, executive session. There are 4 items. The first one is to comply with or act under the authority of any general, special, or federal grant and aid requirements, open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 22F, subsection G. Basically, this is a review and approval of the executive session minutes from May 6th, 2024. Item number 2 is the same, except it's a review and approval of the executive session minutes from May 16th, 2024. And then the 3rd item, same thing, except it's May 29th, 2024. And then the final item under executive session is to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically Superintendent Noriega Murphy's salary review for 2023-2024. From executive session, we may come back out and act on some of the items that we take up in that session. and then from there, we will move adjournment. So are there any questions of the members? If none, please rise and salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, we ask everyone to remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of all those who have fought for our country and continue to do so today, both here and abroad. If you would remain standing, we have a number of moments of silence that our Vice Chair, Jennifer Spadafora, will now lead us in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The City of Malden has lost numerous folks over the past week and a half, so I'd like to have a moment of silence for Officer McKenna, Miss Jean Condon, wife of City Councilor Paul Condon, as well as Mr. Robert Rotundi, president of Babe Ruth Association and coach for 50-some-odd years, as well in honor of D-Day.
Thank you. Our clerk will now call the roll. A cappella. Here.
Here.
Here, aquí.
All right, so we have a quorum sufficient to allow us to come together this evening. Now let's get into the agenda. If there be no objection, why don't we take Malden's 375th essay contest out of order? Chair here objection. Chair has none. Please, let's go to our superintendent to introduce.
Thank you. Good evening. This is a great partnership that we have with the Malden Public Schools. So we have the director, Dora San Martin. Thank you so much for your collaboration. And at the same time, we have Director Gerard Tanera, who works for the Malden Public Schools. And they have been working together with the Malden Historical Society. So we also have amazing students on the back. Yay! Again, so welcome. So Gerard, take it away.
Okay, let me get the, yep.
Thank you. So I'm Gerard Tanetta, Director of Social Studies, Visual and Performing Arts. I have here with me Dora St. Martin, the Director of Libraries for Malden, and John Parslin, the Vice President of the Malden Historical Society. We've worked together over the last 2 years to try to increase local history inside of the Malden Public Schools. Last year, we were able to run professional development for teachers on slavery and abolition in Malden. And we ran workshops for students on that topic, as well as an infamous murder case that Mr. Parslin taught for them, and a then and now picture videography of the city. This year for Malden 375, we looked to see how we could make a bigger impact and how we could hit more students. And so we reviewed lots of archival material that was available at the library. And we decided on industrialization as a topic to hit and an essay contest as how we wanted to go about it. Industrialization is something that Malden is really rich with in history, and it aligns with our US 1, US 2, and world history curriculums, which is what our freshmen, sophomore, and juniors take traditionally for social studies classes. We took all those sources together, and we created assignments, which I gave out to you on the packet on the left-hand side. There's a letter from the Historical Society, And then there's what we did with the resources. So we chunked together the different categories. So we did like transportation and safety and labor and told a little story of Malden's history of that. This was shown to all social studies classes, given as an opportunity for every student at Malden High School to take part in, and it was given as an assignment in several social studies classes. The essay contest then came to us, and our review committee got over 40 different student essays. And with the financial support from the Adeline Breed Bard Foundation and the City of Malden's 375th Anniversary Fund, we were able to award a first place, a runner-up, and a few honorable mentions, which are all students that are here tonight, and we would like to present them with those awards. So our first honorable mention goes to Dagny Boswell. Dagny Boswell. And our next goes to Rafael Orsino. Our next honorable mention goes to Kelly Yee. And our final honorable mention was actually an art submission, which you also have in your packets, but in a little bit more cleaner version framed here, and that goes to Sarah Pham. All right, and our runner-up in the essay contest is Sophie LeBlanc. And our winner, who is going to read a little excerpt from his essay, so you get an understanding of what these submissions were like, although, again, in your packets you can see all of the student essays here that are presented. And our winner is Andy Liu.
The Industrial Revolution is a period of rapid technological and industrial growth, starting around the late 18th century in America. This growth dramatically changed America's society as it shifted from an agricultural economy to one dominated by industry and manufacturing. As these changes continued to spread throughout America, towns like Malden experienced significant changes between 1820 and 1920. That shaped the community's economic and social systems. The introduction of a Boston and Maine Railroad in 1845 supported economic growth in Malden. Railroad systems were much more efficient at carrying people and products from point A to point B, allowing Malden to connect with other markets and expand the industry. Additionally, by 1873, the town had 287 manufacturing firms, and its population grew to 32,051 by 1898, showing the town's transformation to more of an industrial city due to the job opportunities in these industries. The Boston Rubber Shoe Company, founded in 1853, highlights this transformation. By 1910, it employed 3,500 workers, producing 55,000 pairs of shoes daily, and instead of using unskilled workers like the company hired skilled bootmakers, shippers, teamsters, and etc., showing the ever-developing industries in Malden. Furthermore, the reduction of the work week from 54 hours to 48 hours in 1990, with little to no impacts on salary, shows the improvements in labor in response to the workers' rights movement, as initially jobs were often low-paying and required long hours. However, over time, as labor movements gained backing and industries grew more prosperous, working conditions began to improve, which is shown by the Boston Rubber Shoe Companies reducing working hours without cutting pay.
All right, and that's all, unless there's any questions for us.
Any questions of the members? If not, we're going to break for a quick recess to congratulate our students and take a photo with them, okay? School committee will be in a brief recess.
Marcelina, I didn't see you. Yo too. Did you do?
Anybody else want their own? Yes, stand up here. This out. All right. I'm gonna climb up ahead. It's better from here. If I stay down here, I get the podium. Okay, I'm gonna get in the middle. Wait a minute. All right, I'm good. I'm old, but I'm agile. Okay. All right. I've got everyone, and everyone looks great. So, especially the kids. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I've got this one here, please. Oh, that's pretty good. All right. Okay. And one more. And oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I've got it now. Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
So one side is the assignments.
Oh, okay.
The responses. Oh, yeah, thank you.
I'll see you. Okay. No, it's not. Got it. General. All right, the school committee is back from recess. We'll now take up the next item, which will be the superintendent-elect's contract. Any objections to taking that out of order as well? Chair has none. Ms. Spadafora.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is an easy one for us, and I don't want to hog the microphone from, excuse me, Ms. Rose-Zeiberg, who co-chaired the Superintendent Search Committee with me. I think we're both very excited with the results, and with that being said, simply, I'd like to make the motion to approve the contract for Superintendent-Elect Dr. Timothy Sippel, and authorize the Chair, Mayor Gary Christensen, to sign on behalf of the school committee.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Gray. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Drummy, Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Spadafora?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin? Ms. Orty? Yes. Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Ms. Rose-Zeiberg? Yes. Mayor Christensen?
Yes, that carries unanimously.
Thank you. Before we move on to the next, I'd just like to introduce Dr. Timothy Sippel, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, just so we could welcome you to the community officially.
Thank you.
Well, it's official now, so come July 1.
It's on.
Welcome to Malden. It's on. Dr. Noriega Murphy has led us for 3 years and has done some amazing stuff, and I am eager to see you carry on the work that she has started. So, welcome to Malden.
Well, thank you, Vice Chair Spadafora. Thank you, Mayor Christensen. Thank you, committee, for your confidence. thank you, Superintendent Noriega Murphy, for the grace that you're already shown in helping to facilitate the transition. And I'm very much looking forward to working with all of you, and with all of you, and with all of you, to continue the work to serve the children of Malden and prepare them for the future. So
Great.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, now, if there be no objection, we'll take the third and I believe final item out of order, which is the Budget Subcommittee. Let's take a look at that. We'll stay with Ms. Spadafora to lead us in that discussion.
Thank you, Chair. So this late afternoon, 5 p.m., the school committee held our formal budget hearing on the fiscal year 24-25 budget. That is held for the public to be able to voice any concerns or thumbs up on the budget. This has been a budget in the making over the past, I'll say year, because realistically, Ms. Mertz and the central office team really start looking at these numbers as early as September, October of the year. But for the past 5 months, I'd say, between meeting with our principals, directors, and getting the unfortunate news that our Chapter 70 funding was not what we were expecting, less than $1 million increase. Our team has worked diligently to put forth a budget that I think we can be pretty proud to approve tonight, that keeps the integrity of our classrooms and ensuring that we have teachers in front of every single student. So
Motion?
I just wanted to say that this did pass unanimously out of the Budget Subcommittee, or approved unanimously out of the Budget Subcommittee. So I'd like to approve the Malden Public School fiscal year 24-25 budget.
Seconded by Mr. McCarthy. Any questions? Just one observation from the chair. I want to publicly let everyone here know how proud I am of Ms. Spadafora's efforts. All you need to do is look around us and see what other cities and towns are going through that we are not. And that, trust me, because I've been doing this for a long time, some say too long, because we had someone that was willing to work together with the city to make this work. So thank you, Ms. Spadafora, on behalf of all of us for your efforts. Let's see. All right, let's have the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Drummy, Mr. McCarthy? Yes. Ms. Spadafora?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin? Ms. Haughty? Yes. Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Ms. Rose-Zeiberg? Yes. Mayor Christensen?
Yes. That carries unanimously. All right, now let's get back to the regular portion of our agenda, which is the approval of minutes, regular session minutes of May 6, 2024. Motion by Mr. McCarthy, seconded by Mr. Bernard. Any questions on those, everyone? You've had a chance to review them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Special session minutes of May 13th, 2024. Motion by Mr. Bernard, seconded by Mr. McCarthy. Anybody have any final edits to those? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Special session minutes of May 16th, 2024. Motion by Mr. Bernard, seconded by Ms. Rose-Zeiberg. Any questions on those, team? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. And then finally, special session minutes of May 29th, 2024. Motion by Ms. Spadafora, seconded by Mr. Bernard. Any questions there, everyone? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it, that carries unanimously. All right, everyone, we're now down at public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the school committee. We only ask that you state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open, 3 minutes per speaker for a total of 15 minutes. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor Christensen, school committee members, outgoing Superintendent Noriega Murphy, incoming Superintendent Sippel. My name is Chris Giordano. I live at 19 Sprague Street here in Malden and am finishing up my 14th year teaching math at Malden High School. I'm here today to offer a few reflections as both a tax-paying resident and an employee of the city that I hope you will consider during the impending contract negotiations with the Malden Education Association. Hopefully I won't go too far over 3 minutes, but I do want to give you adequate context for these comments. First off, I would like to thank those of you who were around during the last round of contract negotiations for recognizing the need to provide paid family leave. As a member of the MEA, this was one of my top concerns during the last contract negotiation, and one of the reasons I have not only continued working here, but have also moved to Malden. Now as a resident, I am proud that my elected officials recognize the humanity of their employees and support them during a critical time in the life of their burgeoning families. I was able to benefit from the paid parental leave policy this year as my wife and I welcomed our first child, Nina, in December. Because I've worked in Malden for so long, I was able to take full advantage of the paid leave. And I was so grateful to have had all 12 weeks to bond with my daughter and support my wife without having to worry about my job or our bills. While Nina was born healthy and thriving, my wife had a difficult delivery, which led to a long recovery. Even though I was waking up every 2 to 3 hours to help my wife be able to feed our daughter, I slept well, knowing that we would continue to be able to provide for our daughter throughout my leave. If I would have had to return to the classroom at that time, I know that my students would not have gotten the best from me. While I am grateful for my paid parental leave, I would like to encourage you to think about how we as a district can improve upon this right and how we can support our schools in dealing with the challenges that occur in light of these leaves. There are serious flaws with the current system that can and should be addressed during the upcoming bargaining cycle. First, developing a systematic plan for hiring long-term substitutes should be addressed. My particular situation was unique in that the math department this year had already secured a long-term substitute for the year that I knew would be ready to cover my classes whenever my wife went into labor. This was not thanks to a district-wide policy, but rather through the hard work of frontline teachers who leveraged their personal and professional connections to find a long-term substitute that could cover the multiple absences we would be experiencing this year in the math department. In my 14 years here in Malden, that kind of forethought and logistical planning has largely been absent. Historically, there has been a flurry of activity to develop a plan for coverage after a teacher has begun their leave. These are anticipated absences, and we should be able to do better for our students. Be proactive rather than reactive. For example, there were multiple other classes this year that had to report to a study hall for their teachers.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You're at 3 minutes.
Okay.
Is there anybody else waiting to speak? Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I have to check online.
1 second, okay? We're going to see if we can get all your comments in.
Okay. Can I
Anybody online? 1 second. I just want to check online,
Okay,
see how many
thank you.
speakers there are.
I have one person.
One person. Can you try to wrap up? We have a few more speakers behind you. And our
Okay.
limit is 3 minutes per speaker. And you're at the 3, but,
Okay, I'll try to speed
and
this
whatever
along.
you can't say, you can always email us as well.
Okay. To continue to wrap up, there were multiple leaves that had to go to a directed study for a while until they figured out a coverage situation. That means that our students are not actively learning.
Right.
And our students deserve better, and contract negotiations are an important opportunity to formalize and systematize these. Secondly, many of the coverage plans at the high school require up to 5 other classroom teachers in the department to sacrifice their prep time to cover an additional class. This system has some huge flaws in it. Most importantly, you're sacrificing your prep time and adding more students onto your course load. You have less time to reach out to parents and communicate with families. You have less time to communicate with admin. You have less time to plan, and you have more students to follow up with. So it's a big ask on your time. Furthermore, when I took over that responsibility, I was told that I would be getting an additional 1/5 of my salary for covering a 6th class on top of my current 5. But I was only paid half that amount when I did this last year covering for another teacher's medical leave. And that's because of a quirk at the high school, where because our course load is split over 2 days, because we have that rotating block schedule, classes only meet every other day. And so I was only paid on the days that I taught, even though I was planning and doing outreach on the other days, and my entire course load was covered over 2 days. That is a really big issue that is definitely hindering members of the high school specifically to cover these types of leaves when a long-term sub is not able to be found. And that's something that long-term, if we continue to need the high school teachers to cover additional classes and not be able to find long-term subs, we will have fewer and fewer teachers to do so because that workload really left me burnt out when I did it before going out on my leave.
Okay, we need to wrap up if we can.
That's the end of my comment.
Okay.
Thank you so much for providing paid parental leave in our district, and hopefully you will consider these as you go into negotiations over the next year.
Okay, yeah, and if you want, send those to us.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to address the school committee? Please. Just state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Megan Johnson. I live at 100 Neal Street, Malden, Massachusetts.
Welcome.
Some of you may or may not recognize my name. I emailed most of you last year in August of 2023. I had an incoming kindergartner, and I'm here tonight to try to advocate and lend my voice to the before-school care program that is absolutely necessary and needed across all of our schools in Malden. I can speak more to Linden. We were told in October that we were going to be allowed to drop our children off at 7:45 at the schools by our current superintendent. Linden allowed special accommodations for my family due to hardship to allow our child to get dropped off at 7:45 within the office space, but that was not seen across. I work as a nurse. My husband works as an HVAC technician. We are on a very tight budget. I think most of our families in Malden, especially young families, are feeling the crunch. We're staggering work schedules. We're trying to make it work. Many of my common threads that I talk with people about essentially say that they're one link away from catastrophe. They're relying on other family members, other people, and they're literally one link away. We talk about tardiness. We talk about absenteeism. We have our high schoolers starting at 7:45. We got the young kids starting at 8:15. In order to hire a private nanny, it's anywhere between $30 to $50 a day. And that's not even going to be guaranteed help to show up. You can rely on maybe another parent, but then what do you do when someone's out sick? I mean, it's really unfair. It really is unfair, especially when surrounding communities have this, at least an option of it. I'm not going to get into the after-school care because that's a whole nother topic. It's a free-for-all, and it's a first-come, first-served basis, and there's not enough of it to accommodate the needs that we have. But right now, it's really the before-school care, and I'm really trying to just advocate and speak on behalf of a lot of people that have this need. And I don't think it's fair that there's formal programs at 7:45 at the BB, the Forestdale, and a few others that have the supervision and have allowed those students to get dropped off, and it's not even being talked about for next year. So this has been an ongoing issue, and I really hope that it's going to really get addressed.
Thank you. Typically, this is not a back and forth, but I can say on behalf of the committee, we are going to make something happen. You have our word. So let us work on the details with the incoming superintendent, and we will report back to you early July.
And I'm a nurse.
Yep.
I get
Yep.
it. I was an inpatient nurse case manager in Boston most
Yep.
recently. It's everywhere.
Yep.
But I
No, we
think
understand.
By having everybody have later start times and not have the option, it's contributing to the overall issue.
Yep,
of the
we
whole
understand, we
workforce.
agree, we are going to address it. You have our word. All right, now we're going to go online.
So I see one community member with their hand up, Ms. Heather Barry. I'm going to just click the button to allow you to talk and just introduce yourself, name and address. Ms. Barry?
Yeah, I was just trying to unmute, sorry, at the soccer field. So my name is Heather Barry. I live at 10 Hudson Terrace in Malden, and I'm just kind of coming in on behalf of Malden CPAC. I'm the vice president there, and we really wanted to thank Dr. Noriega Murphy publicly for everything that she has done for all the special needs kids of Malden. We really appreciate the time and attention that she has given us, and we just want to wish her well. So thank you.
Got it. You got that?
Thank you, Ms. Barry. I apologize, we're having technical difficulties in council chambers, so everybody on Zoom heard you. However, here in council chambers, I'm just going to reiterate that Ms. Barry, on behalf of the Malden CPAC, wanted to wish outgoing Superintendent Lahia Noriega Murphy best wishes, and thank you for everything you've done for CPAC and our special needs students. And I think I got that correct, Ms. Barry. I apologize. And again, because this is public comment, if you'd like to put that in writing, we will add that to the record.
Very good. All right, anybody else? If not, we're going to jump to our school superintendent, who now will provide district updates and highlights.
Thank you. Good evening. And team, as I said before to you, your success is the success of the students. So whatever I can do to help you with the transition, absolutely, 110%. I'm on your team. Saying that, we have wonderful things happening in here, and we are going to go with the agenda. Let's see. Oh, we can start with that. That's okay. I know. So today, this month is Pride Month. And we have a lot of things that we are going to celebrate, and we are going to, we already have the 375th anniversary for Malden, so congratulations, Malden, yay. The program studies is something that we have been working for 3 years to make sure it's aligned, so I want to thank all the people, the directors, principals, and all the staff that has been working on this, and I want to acknowledge also Emily Peña for her hard work. Where is Erin? And yes, thank you for all your support and all the directors, because I know I push a lot, but it's a great artifact for families to know what is offered in the Malden Public Schools, and also with the goal of alignment, coherence, and transparency. Anybody can go into these artifacts and be able to see the mapping, curriculum mapping, and also the entire curriculum. So thank you for all that work, and I know we're going to talk more about that later on, but I just want to acknowledge everybody who are working there. The same thing with the family and caregivers and students handbook. This is the first time that we were able to actually add the code of conduct in there, and one thing that we should be very proud of is that we are the only city that has the code of conduct with actually steps on how to do progressive discipline, not to go straight to suspension or detention, but actually providing support to the students. So I want to thank all the parents, all the students who help brainstorming the ideas, and also for CPAC, all your feedback about how do we address discipline with students with an IEP. So thank you for that. All right, so we are going to move to the, yep. We can just go over it. Yep, there goes the handbooks, yes. And I had to say that one of the covers is one of our clerk's son. So congratulations, Shirley, for your son's graduation. School improvement plans. This is something that every year we have to do with the state. And I know it is a lot of hard work from the school's teams, we decided to do a different format last year in order to do a PowerPoint presentation. So it's not just a document that we send to DESI and stays in shelves. It's actually a document that is revised during the year. This is something that we had to do in order to demonstrate what is the school improvement initiatives, what data we collect. We can go to the next step. So with the school improvement plan, we had to set up priorities, a problem of practice. So that means that people have to go very deep in what is happening in these schools, and every school has a different problem of practice, looking at root causes and asking why this is happening, trying to really understand how do we move the needle by looking at data. We had data sources, as last time I presented to you. We have 11 dashboards, and we have directors, we have our data analyst that provides also the data to us to make sure that we have all the entry points. We don't just look at attendance and things like that. We look at literacy, numeracy, and every single point that we can in order to support the students. Then we had to create the SMARTY goals. We had to do critical analysis steps with timelines. We look at the progress indicators and interventions. Usually this happens when you are in turnaround schools, but we follow the same format in order to make sure our schools are going to be moving forward, making progress. This year we create the cross-functional teams. That means that central office is deployed to different schools with a specific principal. So not everybody's working with all the principals. It's very specific central office with a specific school, so they get to know the school inside out, and they were able to define and create the school improvement plan. So we have BB, the Early Learning Center, Fairway, Forestdale, Linden, the Malden High School, and Sellenwood. So thank you so much, principals, because I know it wasn't easy, but it's, the goals and action steps are for next year. Then we have some announcements. Last day of school, can't believe it, woo! And that is going to be Thursday, the 13th. I know some schools are already sending the messages to families because it's hard. It's very hard. We know that this summer we still need students to come to school. It's going to be an early dismissal, 11 a.m. We ask the parents, caregivers to please come on time because our staff also is their last day. We are going to start also summer school in different times. I know that most of the directors have called all the parents and making sure that the students are going to show up on time. Juneteenth, we are going to have a celebration on June 19th at the Fairway K-8 field. So everybody's welcome. It starts at 8 o'clock, so please come and join us. We had a lot of celebrations in here. I just put a few pictures in there, but if we go over the celebrations, I will stay here all night. We have our Special Olympics, so thank you to Pam McDonald and also Charlie Connerfree for doing this. We had cookouts. We had the 5K Girls Marathon. So Ms. Van, I'm sure you were running too with them. Yay. We have a multicultural celebrations, a lot of food, especially at Sellenwood. We have the ponies. This is the second year that we have the ponies at BB. It's a great event. We have a lot of students participating in multiple things. But there's a new award in one of the schools, and we try to make sure that every school becomes more creative about how to recognize different students at different times. So I have to acknowledge the Sellenwood School. They have the Courage Luncheon for students, so it's a Courage Award. This is when students in 6th grade, the teacher got together, and probably Ms. Van will explain this better than me, but 6th grade teachers asked the students to write an essay about a time where they actually felt that they did something that was courage, that they showed the courage. And there were 3 students who got this award out of many students in that school, and that was Diego de Leon, Ms. DeSantis, and Jean Joseph. And I have to say that besides the honors pathway, we want to make sure that schools continue developing other awards to recognize students. So Ms. Van, thank you. I know this is your second, third year doing it, so congratulations on that. And this is something that Ms. O'Toole, I want to say thank you for bringing it back to us. Because it's not just about sports, it's about many things. And congratulations for your son graduating. Yay! That was great. So I want to acknowledge the students that got first, third, and also would mention for their journalism skills. And I have to say that was Jasly Fang, Daniel O'Toole, of course, yay! And then we have Yadar Joseph and Jessica Lee. And this is an amazing program that exists in the Malden Public Schools, where we actually invest a lot of time on the blue and gold, and I hope that we can continue recognizing them for their hard work. Thank you. Last year, we tried to get back as normal as we could and everything, so we sent students overseas, but this year, we asked for a special request to you, and thank you for granting this, and that was the Nature's Classroom, where we were able to have 3 schools that sent groups of students for overnight trips. And hopefully this will continue, because this is amazing to see how students have fun, so I want to recognize the principals for working very hard on doing this. And why not all schools? Because I know that's the question many people ask. Why not the 7 schools doing this, or the K-8? This is because the teachers have to volunteer, staff have to volunteer to go overnight. They don't get paid for this. So if there are teams of teachers that advocate for this, then it can happen. They do fundraising, because the schools can do the fundraising, but if they don't have the adult ratio to go, it's very challenging, and we cannot pay them overnight. So I want to just show you some pictures in here. So we had the trip from Fairway. There were 46 students that attended. They had a great time over there. Some of them were trying to go swimming, and this time we allowed students to go swimming because they have lifeguards. It's a safe place to do it. They went canoeing. They have a great time over there. Then we have Forestdale. Forestdale sent 79 students and 15 staff members. That was the largest group ever, and so we want to recognize our students and our staff, because sending 15 staff is great. So they have fun in there. You can see that beautiful sunset. I'm so jealous of that, and yep, students talking about it. Then we have Stellenwood. They sent 62 students, and as Ms. Van says, the first time after COVID. So we had to get over after COVID, but now it's a new beginning. So you can see all the students in there having fun too, and they're still talking about it. So for next year, hopefully more teachers can volunteer on the other schools, so they can actually, everybody can enjoy this. Celebrations. Yes, we had our graduation for the class of 2024. We had the prom. We have a great time. We have the Haitian Flag Day, Pride Flag Racing, and the red carpet. That's a great, it was amazing. Then we have some, data. As you know, we like numbers, because that's what informs practice. So in the class of 2024, we had 423 graduates. 60% are going to go to 4-year college. Then 16% are going to go to 2-year college. This year, nobody's going to the military, and I will be glad to share the data from last year. We have 8% of the students that are going to tech, trade school, union. 12% are going to go to the workforce, and others that are just getting a year that we are not so sure what they're going to be doing. And you can see this scholarship that they got in the school, $172,450. So we want to say that this class that started when I started, even though they were sophomores, but that's when we all came back from COVID, when we had to make decisions about mask, no mask, coming, not coming, hybrid, no hybrid, and when we all make the decisions, everybody needs to come back 100%. So this class started the sophomore year, coming to a large high school where they didn't know each other, unless they came from the same middle school. So 96 members of the class of 2024 earned a GPA of 4.0 or better. These students have worked so hard. They were so dedicated to getting to the books and also working together as teams. That is something that we see more and more at the high school, where they are getting together to support each other. Over 50% of the graduates earn a GPA of 3.0 or better. So these are students who are trying to work very hard. So I know our senior year for next year is going to do even better at this. 27% of the class of 2024 joined the National Honor Society. And you can see that they did a lot of fundraising that decreased the cost of prom very low. Usually it's very expensive and many people cannot go. But this time they did a lot of fundraising to make sure every single student who wanted to go was able to go. They decreased the cost of cap and gowns. If I'm not mistaken, I think they pay like $19 or something like that for everything, so great job. They also decreased the cost of the senior cookout. It started to rain a little bit, but then the sun came out. They started a new tradition, and this is something that students are trying to do more and more in our schools. And that is tonight, actually. That is tomorrow night is going to happen, the sophomore soiree, and that is going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's going to be at Jenkins. Please come and support the students. It's important, and give donations, because that's what is going to help them for next year for the prom. And they also had the Back to School Fest. If you don't remember, they actually were able to do a fundraising to get books for students, backpacks, everything that the little ones needed. So this is a great thing that this class did. We had the senior officers of the Key Club and the NHS that actually make a lot of connections with the community partners. If you notice, some of them were in every single event, helping out with chairs, moving things, welcoming people. So they were really involved in the community, which they're going to make sure that their peers of the class of 2025 will continue doing this. Then we have amazing things that happen too. We have students that are going to go, some of them are going to go to Harvard, MIT, Brown. Well, you can read all the names in there. We are very proud of the students and all the students that finished the year. They have great scholarships. You can read it in there. And for the first time ever, we have 113 Adams Scholars. So this is like making sure that the students continue to focus on the academics. So the other updates that we have are more plain and more simple, the ones that we always have. And this is total enrollment, which is hard to see. So as you can see, every year, every month I present this, that you can see the enrollment per school, grade level, and the totals. So we have 6,562 students as of this week. Our enrollment in the Welcome Center. Oh, it's you. It's me. Oh, it's you, yeah. I'm like. I'm just stepping in. Yeah, thank you. The Welcome Center, as you can see, we are getting a lot of kindergarten families and caregivers applying online. That feature will continue because it's very helpful for parents just to go and click in there. If they need help, they can call the Welcome Center, and they're going to walk them through the process. So we had 321 students that are in the queue. That means something is missing from the application. And this is the highest ever that we have been able to do because it's online. They don't have to wait outside on long lines or anything like that. They apply online, and the process doesn't take that long. Then we have schools with no seats, and that is Beebe, Fairway, Forestland, and Sandlinwood. It's a good thing, but I know families want to go to schools, but we find the second nearest school to the students if they cannot go to their neighborhood school. All right, human resources. We had 160 staff members who had some issues with their licensures, and now we have 76. Still very high, but we have staff with expiring licenses, and human resources have been doing a great job since September, reminding people that they have to renew their licenses, that expiration date comes. So we have 9 staff members that the license expire, and they have received multiple emails about this. One that the license is going to expire prior to June 13, which is the last day of school. One has a temporary license. Emergency licenses and no license, they are all packed together with the waivers and no license, so we have 24 of them. And we have 11 staff members that need the SEI endorsement. 3 are SEI admin. 2 now. Thank you. Let me cross that out. 2, yes. And it's not because they haven't applied. Let me just make it clear. At this moment, the Department of Education is it's taking them a while to process the paperwork because it's too many people applying, but some people have gone straight to Everett. Sadly, they're not here because it would be easier to go across the street, but have gone to Everett and actually delivered the documents. So only 2 from there. So that is the total. And now we are going to talk, and thank you, Ms. Johnson, for the bringing out the before school. I totally get it, and Mrs. Spadafora and the chair and I spent a lot of time last year trying to see how we could make that possible, and hopefully will happen this coming year. So for the Malden out of school time, I'm going to actually ask Pam Staseski, our data analyst, to present this data. There was a survey that was sent to families to learn more about the need. And I know sometimes families don't respond to surveys, but we have very good data from here. So take it away, Pam.
Thank you. The information that you're seeing on this particular slide for the after-school programs, that data was actually gathered by Jennifer, the director of the most programs. So those are the most recent numbers, as you can see, from June 3rd for each one of our programs. And you can see the ones that are located on-site in our schools and those that are located off-site, for example, at a YMCA. Next slide, please. We did launch a survey that was launched on March 21st. That link was shared with all K-6 families. We did have a total of 225 folks that filled that out. We did have a few. We actually had, I think, 229, but we had some duplicates where we might have had a mom and a dad both filling it out on the same information. And so we narrowed it down to the 225 families that completed the survey. I imagine there are families who don't complete the survey because they had no need for an after-school or before-school or program, and so I wouldn't necessarily expect like 3,000 families to complete it. So here's our data. So we have approximately 200 students, I believe it was 196 families, that reported need some form of after-school care, whether it was before school, after school, vacation, summer programs, all of the above, any combination of the above. Of those that indicated that they needed some form of care, about 50% need comprehensive care, which I am defining as they either need all three options, which are before school, after school, and vacation and or summer programs. And then there were some that needed just before or after school care, but that's still a pretty comprehensive amount of care. So about half are saying we need something on a pretty regular basis, pretty comprehensive. And you can actually see the breakout here in numbers for each one of the schools. Next slide. Then of those that had an interest in maybe just before school or just after school or just one particular piece of it, you can see that we had 34% that wanted or needed just after school care, 14% vacation, summer only, and 13 before only. These are people that said, I just need one of these options. I don't need all of them, I just need one. Then I took all the information on all the families, whether they needed one piece of this, they needed two pieces, they needed all three pieces, and that's what you see in the pie chart. And so the after school, 162, that's folks that need just after school care, need after school and before school care, that need all three. And so you can see after school has a slightly larger portion, and the other two are close to equally split. So after taking into account those that need comprehensive care, that is, they need before school, after school, vacation, summer, the greatest need still tends to come out with the after school, with that being a number of 162. Then we also ask a question about how many days a week do you need care? Do you need it 2 days a week, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days? For the most part, 66%, 2/3 need it 5 days. They really need it every day. The next largest number, which dropped dramatically, I think was 4 days. There wasn't a great deal of need for only a 2 or 3 day. So it's clear to me that the most pattern that comes out is comprehensive care for 5 days a week.
Thank you. So we're going to go over some of the highlights as we close the year. And next slide. This is, yeah, Heather, do you want to come and talk about it? Yeah, yes. We are very proud of this new program, the Biliteracy State Seal.
So I'm Heather Castingway. I'm the ELA Director in also World Language. And part of the work that we've done this year is working on the Seal of Biliteracy. And to explain what the Seal of Biliteracy is, it's celebrating our students who are bilingual and allowing them to take an assessment to show their proficiency at a high level for their native language or their learned language, as well as English. So students who took the test will get a score that rates them either high level or advanced to earn the seal. And then you also have to pass MCAS or an access with a high test of proficiency in the English language. So with those two combined, students can earn their Seal of Biliteracy. Also, we expanded it a little bit this year. Erin Craven and Lauren Beltran were helping me along with this process, and we expanded it to sophomores this year also. So sophomores, juniors, and seniors had the opportunity to take the assessment. And once they pass that assessment, then it can also help waive their world language requirement for getting credits as well. So the students who graduated this year, we had 27 students who, 2 of them actually have left the district. They were here as juniors and passing it last year, but I still count them as part of our school because they have been here up until their junior year. And we had several others who have passed. Our sophomore students who passed the language component of it have to wait on their results for access in the MCAS to be able to qualify for that. But we have many students who are doing that. We're trying to encourage more students to take that opportunity. This also helps them when they go to college. Some colleges are now acknowledging this as college admission credits. So the latest one is Bentley University, which we're kind of excited to see that it's gone beyond state schools and starting to be in other universities. So we're excited to do this with our students because it gives them a certificate that they can use for colleges and also in career to lead the way to celebrate their biliteracy.
Thank you. So next slide, you can see that even though I have 29, but she said 27, there are not that many students many schools doing this. So out of the 213 Massachusetts schools and districts, we are there on the map. So this is something great that we should continue, especially because our students will get recognition in the transcripts and also in colleges. And as you can see, 11 colleges recognize it. So thank you so much for all that hard work. Then we had the honors pathways. We continue going very strong, as we mentioned before. Last year were 366 students. This year, 686 students. And I just hope that it will continue because this is giving more access to students to high-level critical thinking. And at the same time, the community hours, they really love to do that. They become part of the community. And instead of having one program at one school, we have it in all over K-5s, K-8s. All right, graduation rate. And yeah, thank you. So we can see the trajectory and historical projections of the seniors that we had, the actual numbers actually, the seniors, how many students graduated in 4 years, and the adjusted 4 years. So I have to say that in the year 2021, 2022, we got 90.8% of students who graduated in the adjusted 4 years. And so graduation rate, as you can see, since 2017, 2018, we are getting the highest numbers of graduates from 2021 to now. So we are very proud of that, and thank you to the high school team, to the directors and the teachers, because this is all you work with the students. Then we had the historical dropout, which is the opposite, right? This is the direction where we want to go the lowest instead of the highest. And even though we have been just able to lower it to 3.0, And the year 23-24 is not there yet because that is going to come in August. We can see that we have been able to go to 1.9, 1.8 in certain grades a certain year, so hopefully that we continue that every single grade should be less than 1%. But these are also the efforts of chronic absenteeism. Coming back from COVID was hard because a lot of students are still suffering, how can I say, mental, social, emotional challenges, adjusting still. But we had the teams working with chronic absenteeism, and thanks to the dashboard that we have, we can actually see who are the students who need that support. So once again, we had the lowest dropout rate in the since 2017, 2018. All right, and I'm going to invite again Pam Stasecki to come here, and this is the end of the year growth. Yes, data informs practice, and we just want to close the year with the data again. We do it at the beginning of school year, mid, and then at the end. I had to go back to the first one. Go back to the first one. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to share that while we have pulled this data and analyzed it, we did need to pull it a little bit early so we could prepare for this presentation. So 100% of the students had not completed the survey by the time that we pulled the data. And you can see at the very bottom of that slide that the window closed on May 31st, but I needed to pull the data on either May 24th for a couple of them and on May 29th, so I had time to analyze the data. But when I looked at the data, there were sufficient numbers that I knew we could still take a look at the results and it would provide value. So the next slide, just a reminder about what DIBELS is. It's an early literacy assessment focused on things such as naming letters, what do letters sound like, blending, such, what does an SH sound like, and then focusing on getting into nonsense words and then going into fluency. There is an annual growth that is expected for all students, but for students who are not on grade level at the beginning of the year in the fall, it's expected that there's some amount of catch-up growth. Otherwise, students that are below benchmark at the beginning of the year will be below benchmark for their entire trajectory. So the idea is that we start chipping away at that. So this is just kind of a reminder of what those pieces of information are. So when you look at the graphics, keep that in mind. Next slide. So this is something called in DIBELS a summary of effectiveness because it's really looking at growth. And the green bars represent the targets. Those are the national norms that DIBELS develops that says if you can make these targets, you have a comprehensive, solid, well-performing system, a village, if you will. The blue bars represent where our students were in the fall and how many of them actually met that benchmark. So for example, in that first one above benchmark, we had 459 students in the fall that were above benchmark. How many of them are still above benchmark? 90%. We'd like that to be 95%. That's not too far off. A student could have missed it by 1 point. You see at benchmark, again, it's talking about if you are at benchmark, are you still at benchmark? Now this is where it gets a little bit tougher. The below benchmark, the threshold is not still being below benchmark. It is if you are below benchmark in the fall, by the end of the school year, you are at benchmark. So that's annual growth plus catch-up growth. We're not quite at 80%, but we had 57% of the students, of those 223 students, that now are caught up by the end of the year. That's quite a celebration. We want to continue to work at that and get that closer to 80%. That means we have a solid system. The well below benchmark are the students that start in September well below benchmark, which means they're typically 3 or more grade levels below. The intent is not for them to catch up by the end of the year, because that would be a Herculean effort. But the idea is that when you start the year at below benchmark, by the end of the year, you're below benchmark. So again, annual growth plus catch-up growth. And this is all based on national norms that were developed out of the University of Oregon, which is where DIBELS came from, and why they have those numbers of 80, 80, and 95, just like all other research. They don't just pluck them out of the air. They have years of data and thousands and thousands of data points all across the United States to be able to come up with these values. Next slide. So now it's just breaking this down just a little bit more, just looking at this at grade level. And as you can see, the students that were in blue at the beginning of the year, depending on the grade, most of them are still in the blue, which means they started the year above benchmark, they are still above benchmark, which means they still had to grow, because if the bar is here in the fall for above benchmark, then in the spring, the bar is here. So if you just stay in place, you won't make that second bar. And so you can see, actually, first grade already has that at 96%. All the others are really not that far. Looking at the kids that are at benchmark again in the fall, we've got 3 grade levels, K to 1 and 2. They're very, very close to that 95. There's a little bit of work to do at kindergarten, but the other thing is, anytime you're looking at kindergarten data, most assessments, they have a floor effect. That is, you can't get a score below 0. So if you're really functioning at, for example, a negative 100, it's still going to give you a score of 0 because it can't calculate down that far. iReady, a computer adaptive test, is much better at that. Some other assessments aren't as adaptable for that, and thus sometimes the results in kindergarten are tainted a little bit because of what we call this floor effect, which will get some of those numbers. So you can have a student, if you look on the next slide, that, for example, might have been below benchmark in kindergarten, but again, they may have made some pretty decent growth, but it may be a little bit harder to show there. So as you can see, the below benchmark, not quite as strong as a system. Teachers are a huge part of that system, but there are lots of other parts of that system too. And certainly students well below benchmark, that's also it can be a heavy lift. But it doesn't mean that we can't do hard things and that we don't still work towards that. And as you can see, by 3rd grade, also it becomes very challenging. And so the goal would be that we develop a system in which that our students, that we start in kindergarten and we do our due diligence to get as many of those students out of that well below benchmark. And then in 1st grade, doing the same thing. So you get to the point when you've got students in 2nd and 3rd grade that unless they moved in from somewhere else, we are actually having them start at benchmark. Then it becomes a more reasonable task to be able to move forward. Okay, so we can talk about some very wonderful things in growth, and that's actually what is important to look at, because that's our contribution as a system. What are we bringing to the table? How much do our students grow from September to June? But we always want to keep in mind, where are we in June? Because if we had 100% of our kids making annual and catch-up growth, we could still have students that are below grade level, so it's important to acknowledge that. And as you can see here, we've got above and at benchmark in practically all of our grades. It's about 60% of our students that are ending the year at or above benchmark, which means we have a small slice in the below benchmark, and then we have anywhere from a 4th to a 3rd that are well below benchmark. Next slide. Moving on to iReady. iReady is a computer adaptive test, so it has less of a floor effect. It means it can go down really low, and it can also go up very high. It can actually get into calculus level work. I just wanted to remind you of how those points are calculated, and how those growth values are calculated. So for example, if a third grade student in the fall is at a particular level, whatever level they are, I-Ready says kids across the country that start in second grade at this level typically grow 26 points. And so then what we want to measure is at the end of the year, did that child grow 26 points? Oh, they grow 30. So then their growth is 30 over 26. That would be 115%. But if we can get all of our students that are expected to grow 26 points to grow 26 points, then that's where we're going to get that 100%. So that's the value we're going to be looking at on some of these next slides. We want to see numbers above 100% because that means, on average, those kids are growing 26 points out of 26 points, or 32 points out of 32 points, or 15 points out of 15 points. Whatever I-Ready has determined is the expected growth based on their grade level and where they started the year. So the number of points are expected to grow for a third grader that starts 3 years below grade level is not the same as a third grader that's 1 year above grade level. And they don't just make up the numbers, they actually look at millions of data points and say, this is what typically happens. You can see on here, the left side, how many bars that we have that are above 100%. Every single one of them except one, and the one that's not is pretty darn close. And you can see in certain cases, if you look at 6th and 7th grade, we're not talking about 100%, 110%. We're talking about 158, and we're talking about 188, which is well above that, that target of 100%. Then we want to slice it differently and say, okay, what about students that start the year above grade level? How well do we do with them? How about the kids that are very far below grade level? How well do we do with those? We want them to all be 100% or better. All those bars are above 100%. So it doesn't matter where the kid starts. This says we have a system that is doing well for all types of kids. But again, let's see how where we are at the end of the year, which you see on the pie chart. You see about half of the students are either early on grade level, mid or above grade level, and about half of them that are below grade level. The way we get that pie chart to be all blue and all green, which would be an ultimate goal, rigorous goal, but an ultimate goal would be to continue year in and year out getting numbers above 100%. That's what's going to start changing the shape or the colors in that particular chart. So now that was all on literacy. Now let's look at math. So math, we use the IXL. There's definitely a floor effect here because the lowest score you can get is a 0. There are no negative values. And it's expected that students would typically score 100 points. That would be considered annual growth. So again, if a student is on grade level, 100 points, 2 thumbs up. Below grade level, get a little bit more. Could we get 110, 120? Then that would be ideal to start putting them on that catch-up growth. So looking at our data there. Next slide. Okay, again, we're looking at that 100. Not quite as strong in some of these, but we've got a few. Again, we got the middle school grades. This time it's 6th and 8th grade that are well above that 100. We have a lot of others, 100, 103, 107, and then we have a few that are in the 80s and the 96. And then we have kindergarten, and part of that is a floor effect. Not sure exactly how much of that is a floor effect and how much of it is more work is needed. Next slide. There are a couple of things that are really important to look at when we're looking at math. And as a former math teacher, these were a passion of mine. Even though I taught high school algebra, if students didn't have number and operations from elementary school and they had just memorized and drill and practice and not having that conceptual understanding, I'm going to be dealing with it as a 9th grade teacher. Again, we want these to be at 100, a lot of grade levels, very, very close to that. And the next slide is also about growth. Now we're looking at grades 4 through 8 because we're dealing with algebraic thinking. That's a really important, again, skill set, and it's about recognizing patterns and understanding how numbers work together. And as you can see, we've got 2 grade levels, again, at the middle school level that are well above that 100, and those that aren't, the lowest one we have is 97. That's only 3 points less than 100. With our students in the year, again, looking at the blue and the green, we have not quite half in this case, but the goal would be to continue to keep getting those growth numbers above 100. Then we're going to start seeing those blue and green values getting larger. And the final piece of this is really about, which is a lot of time the question is like, why do we have the numbers we have? Why do we have strong growth in certain areas? Do we have some rock star teachers? Absolutely. But it's a whole village. There's a lot of pieces that went into this. It's not going to be found in the numbers. It's going to be found in other data points, walkthroughs, conversations with teachers. Those are not data points that I have, but our directors who are in the classrooms and have seen a lot of this were the ones that shared with me a lot of these key points about what are the contributions here. And as you can see there, a big one is targeted feedback and teacher support. Anywhere from walkthroughs with district administrators and principals, looking at classrooms, 10, 15 minutes here and there, peer observations so we can learn from each other, and also having coaching support from either a literacy coach, a math support, a math coach, or a multilingual coach, and then also having those literacy and math assistants when you have to break out into small groups and you need a group that is going to be focused on a particular skill set, being able to have those extra bodies. And we can't forget parental support and our engaged and curious students and all the collaboration that happens.
Thank you for that. Now, as I close my last presentation to school committee and to the City of Malden and Malden Public Schools, I'm going to say that we have been framing the learning since 21-24, trying to make sure it was a transformative, strategic, and very intentional leadership. Everything had a framework, everything had a why, everything had a date attached to it, everything had the support. I just want to make sure that we go over our mission and vision that has been leading the work. This is how we actually frame everything that we're doing here, making sure that our core values, which this is something I inherited when I came here. We never changed it because I know a lot of people and parents were part of this. So the core values are respect, equity, integrity, and resilience. We do have a theory of change. The same thing hasn't been changed. So the opportunity is to make sure that the more that we provide support to the educators, we know that the results will be in the classrooms. The more that we support the students with social emotional supports in the classroom, we know they're going to be supported. They're going to be successful. The more that we can support families, the same thing, and caregivers, the same thing. So building relationships and support systems. And that's why we created the MTSS for the mental social emotional supports. One thing that you always see is every school, every classroom, every student, every day. We want to make sure that we wanted to make sure there was consistency across the curriculum in every single school. So therefore, we line up the time on learning for every single school, thanks to the directors and principals. So that means the same minutes of teaching hours in one school should be the same in the other ones. The curriculum alignment, so all grade levels follow the same curriculum, and we want to make sure that students have the same opportunity in every single school, that experience should be the same. It doesn't matter what school they attend. And if they have to transfer to another school, that learning is not going to be missed or anything. There's going to be persistency and consistency. We used a framework, trying to make sure that everything was aligned with the structural core, theory of change, strategies. Again, everything that we did has to be coherent, and also making sure that all the PD was aligned to this. We always thought about our stakeholders, the culture for the schools, critical element, structures, systems, resources, and environment. I want to make, this is something that actually I inherited also from former Superintendent John Terry, and who I had to thank also for helping me with the transition, and as I will assist you with the transition to here. Making sure that the core is always there, that students, teachers, and the content. There was something that we tried very hard and we continue working in, and that was trying to make sure that we just didn't focus on equity, but what we call liberations. Equity is just trying to balance things out, but we know that one size doesn't fit all, and it looks different everywhere. So we engage a lot of professional development. We held a lot of meetings with the community, and I have to say thank you to the parents, teachers, educators, staff, because you engage in the definition of what is equity in the Malden Public Schools. We also frame everything on 5 core principles. You can see them in there. And yes, data was informing the practice. Make sure that there was a standard aligned curriculum with the frameworks from pre-K to 12. We always want to make sure every single student shows some kind of success and growth. So this is not just one size fits all. This is actually customizing things for students at the level that they were at. Professional learning culture, and always there was equity and inclusive practices. We engage in a lot of professional development where we send teams from schools, including the principals, to different places out of state to make sure that in their schools they have grade level curriculum, they engage students in learning, affirming what students bring to the classroom, and it was meaningful for the students. There were 3 areas that we focused to, and that didn't change in 3 years, and that was literacy, numeracy, and chronic absenteeism. Literacy wasn't just English, it was literacy across the board. That means science, history, math. Numeracy, the same thing, it happens in other courses. The reduction of chronic absenteeism, if students are not in school, they cannot learn. But I had to, the high school had different creative ways of engaging students even when were not coming to school. We had 6 goals, and what I'm going to do is a report card. I know that people did my evaluation publicly here, and they also gave me votes. But I wanted to say, I'm very proud of the work that we had done with the team for 3 years. So this is the report card, or the work that we did in 3 years. Next, please. Of all the goals that we set up, in goal number 1, we were able to be successful in every single one of them with all the artifacts that we have shown. And this is because increasing student learning is our goal. That is actually what we are here for. Educate students, support them, and give them everything that they need in order to be successful. Goal number 2, we created coherent alignment, and we have goals that we can measure for many years. We did 5 years. And also, holding people accountable. Yes, adults. We expected everybody to be able to teach students, embrace them, and build relationships with them. So as you can see, we have a curriculum that is aligned from pre-K to 12. We have different curriculums that we actually were able to implement, and there was vertical and horizontal alignment from pre-K to 12. On goal number 3, the same thing. We have been able to develop the MTSS multiple systems. So everything that you can see, we did in goal number 3. Goal number 4, there was only one thing that we were not able to do, and that's not because we didn't try. We actually had a company that worked with us with the website. Since I came here, I said that doesn't work for us. It's something that is so antique. We have school. The students that are there have children already, and we try, but it's such a massive task of moving all the documents. Shirley can tell me, don't mess with my school committee documents. So hopefully that will continue, and that Malden will have a great website. We try. There's actually work continues there. The one leading this is Charlie Connerfree. Once again, the money is there. It's just how to revamp it. So with that one, sorry, I wasn't able to do it. Goal number 5. We did maximize every single resource that we had. Now, especially this year that we don't have so many grants for next year. We were not able to do the multi-year budget because it's hard, it fluctuates. And also to do a backwards budget mapping, we tried with all the pre-enrollment, trying to make sure that we had every single data from the schools. We have a balanced budget. It's too bad we didn't have more than a balanced budget. Goal number 6, gather data to inform practice. Yes, I hear and I love when teachers talk about the data and how they can actually have the exit tickets to inform the practice so they can work and focus on the specific students, not just teach to the middle, but teach every single student in there. So we were able to do that, and that's my report card. And then going back here, transformative, strategic, and very intentional leadership practices. Lead with grace, equity, respect, love, honor our communities, and I had to say, Malden, love everything that you had provided me, every single thing. It has been an amazing experience. Some people call it challenging. I said enjoyable, but challenging. Other forces brought it challenging, but not the students or the schools. We were present all the time as much as possible, even though you have so many events that it's impossible to put it in somebody's calendar. We worked together as a team. I know you work with the directors. I have to say, assistant superintendents, thank you. And we work with leading with empathy and not sympathy. And that's something I would say to the students. Sympathy means different, empathy. And as Gandhi said, the future depends on what we do in the present. And thank you for all the things that you have done in the present in the last 3 years, because we see the students, how they have growth, and we see how teachers have engaged in very strategic professional development where we see their growth too. This is from my team that is departing. And this is, we wanted to serve our students and caregivers. We believe that education transforms and saves lives. Education is the best inheritance that a person can receive. We wanted to serve and to work closely with all the educators, staff, and community, and I did, so thank you to all of you guys for the flowers too, thank you. We are team players and support each other. We care about the present and the future of our students and staff. We wanted to leave this world, or I also wanted to leave this world, better than how it's found. And I think we had done it in the Malden Public Schools. The attention is to education. Once again, the mission is to always protect the students, educate them, and give them the best that you can. So one thing that you're going to see in the website, which is not the best, all the reports that we had done in the last 3 years will be there, that it will inform the practice. And I had to say to the principals, you have been an outstanding team, love our conversations. I know the last year you haven't seen me that much because all the things have come my way, keeping me out of the classroom, which I love the most. The directors, amazing work. And we do have, as you know, we will finish with a video. That's part of this. But I want to say thank you to all of you for this opportunity. Mayor, co-chair, and all of you, thank you for that. And I think I leave this district in a good direction and in great hands. Once again, whatever you need, I'm here, because your success is the success of every single student in the Malden Public Schools. Thank you. So we did. Oh, I'm clapping to myself. I clap to myself too, so. Oh. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
One, two, three, four. Some days are diamonds, some days are rocks, some doors are open, some roads are blocked, sundowns are golden, then fade away. you got a heart so big. Crush this town and I can't hold out forever. Even walls fall down. And all around your island there's a barricade. It keeps out the danger. It holds in the pain. And sometimes you're happy, sometimes you cry. Half of me is ocean, half of me is sky. But you got a heart so big, it could crush this town. And I can't hold out forever. Even walls fall down. Yes, they do. Some things are over, some things go on, and part of me you carry, part of me is gone. But you got a heart so big, it could crush this town. And I can't hold out forever. Even walls fall down. Baby, you got a heart so big, it could crush this town. And I can't hold out forever. Even walls fall down. Well, yes, they do. Yes, they do. They fall down.
That concludes the report. Thank you.
All right, any questions? If not, we'll move to the rest of the items on the agenda. Let's go to Ms. Horty, and then we'll go to Ms. Gray, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two questions that are not related. One, in regard, and I'm not sure who would answer this question, so if you can answer it for me, could you come on up? One is in regard to the staff that is only requiring the SEI endorsement for relicensure. I'm wondering if the district is offering professional development hours for that over the summer, or if we're looking at folks who have already done this, but it's sort of stuck in the process at DESE, or do we have that information available? Because it seems like such a small number.
So it's both, it's a combination of both.
Okay.
For the admin that need the SEI endorsement, some of them submitted the application, and if they had the SEI as a teacher, you just click another button and pay $25, but it's taking some time for the process. For the other ones, the district cannot offer the SEI endorsement classes. It has to be something approved by DESE, and we send information about that too. So we have a lot of educators who are trying to get into these courses. We know that during the summer, some people will be able to get that. So if we have a teacher that has the license, to teach, but is missing one or two things, we will be waiting for them to take the courses.
Okay,
They will receive a notification saying this is pending for you to finish this.
okay. So we're waiting.
Waiting for, and that's part of this. This is the frustrating part, as many of have experienced, is frustrating because people have submitted the documents, they have clicked everything. It's just taking a while, but yes.
Okay. Pam, can I ask you some data questions? Couple questions. One, I know you said that you had to pull some of the spring data before all of the testing was done. So maybe not then, but is there ever a time when this is aggregated by school? Like,
Yes.
are we, okay.
Yes, and it is available that way already. And some of the websites, for example, the iReady, a principal or an assistant principal can go on and pull a report for their school. It's already shared, it's already aggregated, it already has bars, it has everything. Yes.
Okay. My main concern, I think this isn't going to be your issue, but I just want to make sure that this is out on the floor, especially when we're looking at IXL growth. Also, it was pointed out too about the supports that helped improve the IXL scores. I just want to point out that Forestdale is going to be down a math coach next year. And I think it's important that if we're going to continue to look and use IXL testing as benchmarks for students, that we're making sure that we're looking also school to school to see if that lack of support is affecting the students in that building. If not, great. If it is, I think we need to really reconsider prioritizing that math coach being returned, because my understanding is right now that is the only school that does not have or will not be hiring for that person on staff.
And that is something that we have been working very hard, and I'm sure that when things come available, there will be a new superintendent, and the budget committee will make sure that priorities come. And yes, you are right, we need all the support in every school.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is more of a statement and less of a question. I want to sincerely thank Dr. Noriega. Because of tonight's superintendent report, I've been inspired to step up concerning the technology subcommittee. What I plan to do in the fall when we come back is convene the technology subcommittee and pull Dr. Sippel in on what's in this report concerning why our website isn't fully updated. I'm going to find out if we can pick up where things have left off, and try and understand why it's stalled. And basically, that's my statement. I plan to convene the technology subcommittee in the fall, and the members and Dr. Sippel going forward. I do recall at some point he may have mentioned this is something he wanted to look into, and I want to look into it too. And I think our constituents should get a better understanding of what we can do to move forward to get better information out to the parents, students, and everything else. And good luck, Superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Every now and then you come up with something that inspires me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Ms. Rose-Zeiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couple questions in different areas as well. On the issues with the staff members who still have licensure questions, what happens now that it's the end of the school year, we're going into the summer, what does it mean for the school system?
Sure. So one of the things that if they don't have a license, we cannot hire, and that is across the state, so it's not just Malden. This is one of the stipulations for DESE. We have been giving a lot of vouchers for throughout the last 3 years to make sure people go and take the test. And also, we have a partnership with one of the colleges not just to give a voucher, but actually for them to take a class, a course on how to pass the MTEL. We still, some staff that have not been able to pass the MTEL, which is very challenging. So therefore, they don't have a license. We feel, we have a lot of waivers that we file every single year. This year, we made it like drop-down menu to support the principals, because the principals have to do it, but still, they don't have a license. So answering your question is that we cannot hire them, but if there's any openings during the school year, we can, if the position is still open, we can hire them as long-term subs, and then file a waiver. You are not allowed to have more than one waiver, 2 waivers, so we would try, well, Dr. Sippel, we try to continue doing that, but I have to say we do a very good job with waivers. Last year, only 3 were not approved because we created this drop-down menu, so principals don't have to spend a lot of time writing and writing, they can just do that. Okay. But going back to your original question, we cannot hire them or offer them a job for next year until they don't have the license.
Thank you. And just some clarifications with the MOST program with the survey. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Couple of questions. And one, and this can just be for further discussion because there's a lot, I know with before school that needs to go on and also with the after school part. Because when I look at the numbers, where there was 489 students, but out of those, there's 192 in MOST and 297 in the outside programs that we bring in, and especially like looking at Fairway, where they're able to get 126 students serviced in that program. And I just would like us to sort of look at, well, what are they doing that they're able to get more than double what we can in our schools, whether it's staffing or because they've been there so long, or I don't know, I know there's different programs take vouchers, some don't, but just to sort of see, okay, that would be great to get ideas on being able to service more kids. If there's something that they're doing that we can also take on within our school system, I'd like to look at something like that. Was curious too with as part of the survey, do you know, because it's summer and vacation is put together, were those questions to people separately? Because I know I've heard from people who say, like, I don't need summer, but I only need vacation. So I don't know if that actually was just added together, or if that was part of the survey. Did they get the option to say summer only, vacation only?
They did get the option. It was one of the early questions in there, which was summer and vacation only. Summer and vacation were not separated, but it was summer and vacation
together,
only, before school only, after school only, before and after school, and then you basically need all 3. And it was a multiple choice question for that.
So it was not summer only, vacation only?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And it was given in 7 different languages, so families had the option to actually go and select a native language.
Yep, that was like feedback I got from community members, that they would have liked to have seen that option, just for future if we do one.
I've already talked to Jennifer about revising the survey for next year. Because that's one of my background skill sets is survey development.
Great.
So I have it on the calendar a month beforehand. We're going to sit down and we're going to tweak the survey.
That's great. And do we know, last question on it, 200 families, and it says 200 families reported, and just one clarification, and then we said 225 out of the 3,229 students whose families completed the survey. How many, do we ask the families how many kids they had? So that we know if it's 200 families, but is that 200 kids, or is that, like, how many kids
We
is
did
that?
ask that. I did not have time to analyze that, and especially the way the survey was designed, it was not easy for me to just pull the data and run a quick pivot table. And so I pulled what I thought would be most useful, but it doesn't mean I can't go back and take a look at that because it is part of the survey.
Great, thank you. That's all, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, let's move on to these motions and resolutions. Ms. Rose-Zeiberg, Policy and Procedures Subcommittee, is what you're going to say captured in these motions and resolutions, so we can just go right to those?
Put my mic on, there we go. Do you want I can do a quick summary, the
Sure.
report out from, I mean, we like to update about what we've done. Are you looking at the subcommittee reports and discussion portion?
Yes.
So we met on May 30th, and all members were in attendance. We were joined by Assistant Superintendents McDonald, Kelleher Rojas, and Superintendent Noriega Murphy. We did discuss the handbook, which we have all been reviewing for a number of weeks now. Superintendent did discuss the student monitoring and safety measure in the handbook, which will be enhancing the safety of students who need to be going to other parts of the building. This was approved unanimously from our subcommittee. And we did also discuss again the program of studies, and superintendent discussed how the document allows for transparency and is a resource to caregivers. This was also approved unanimously, and important to note that it is a living document, so as changes come in, we will be needing to revisit this throughout the school year, the coming school year. Anytime there's changes that come through on state level, federal level, we have to reflect things within this document. So while we'll be approving what we have now, it is a document that will be forever changing. And that was the subcommittee report.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none. Motions or resolutions? School improvement plans. We've already addressed items 1, 2, so we're on item 3. Let's go to Ms. Spadafora to lead us here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this was presented in the superintendent's presentation tonight. Every school has a school improvement plan. They work on it throughout the year with their school, the committee, thank you. And I heard somebody else yell it out, but, so everybody should have received that in your docket, a copy of those, and we will be approving. Oh, this is under motions and, okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the school improvement plans.
Seconded by Mr. McCarthy. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Item number 4, Student and Family Handbook, Pre-K 12. Ms. Rose-Zeiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we just discussed in the subcommittee reports, we would like to make a motion to approve the Students, Families, and Caregivers Handbook 2024-2025 school year.
Motion made, seconded by Ms. Spadafora. Any questions, everyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Program of Studies, Pre-K 12. Ms. Rose-Zeiberg.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Making a motion to approve the Pre-K to 12 Program of Studies for the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion made, seconded by Mr. McCarthy. Any questions on that, everyone? Chair has none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Item number 6. So this is the resolution in support of the Senate amendment to create a Chapter 70 task force. Ms. Rose-Zeiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little background on this. Senator Lewis included an amendment in the Senate budget to form a Chapter 70 task force, which was passed in the Senate. It calls for a task force to study and make recommendations about the calculations for local contributions and to update the education funding formula. This amendment was not in the House budget, so the next step, which has already started, I believe it started yesterday, is for this to go to the Budget Conference Committee. And now is the time to be advocating for this to be included in the fiscal year 2025 final budget. I had met with Senator Lewis this week, and he is committed to continuing efforts to help Malden out along in this area. He did point out that even if this is in the final budget for this year, this will take time to unfold. It's a study that would be doing, and then a recommendation would come out. So it's a multi-step process. It's not a quick fix. But to remember that this is an important first step, and we need to be advocating for this. In addition to Senator Lewis, it's important that our House delegation does hear from us. Along with the school committee, any members of the community can contact Senator Lewis, Representative Paul Donato, Representative Kate Lipper-Garabedian, and Rep. Steve Altrino to urge them to advocate for the Chapter 70 Task Force amendment. And I do want to thank the Malden City Council, who already has passed their own resolution to support this amendment. So the resolution I have is, whereas the Malden School Committee supports the City of Malden's efforts to educate every student enrolled in the Malden Public Schools, let it be resolved that we support the Chapter 70 task force included in the Senate budget and urge that it be included in the final FY 2025 state budget. The creation of the Chapter 70 task force is a necessary step in reviewing and revising the calculations for determining a city's required local contribution for school funding.
Motion made. Second by Mr. Bernard. Question, Ms. Spadafora.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question, more of a statement, though, just to ensure that as this is voted and approved, because I am assuming we're going to be unanimous in this approval, that it be sent to all of our state delegation as well as the Education Committee and our governor and lieutenant governor.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Bernard.
Not a question, but just a request of anyone that's viewing and everyone that's in the audience. We've heard testimony, we've heard people tonight that have gone and said, you know, we need a math coach. We get requests all the time to go and say, hey, I'd like to go and have, you know, additional counselors. We need to go and work on social emotional learning. We need to go and work on, there's a lot of prerogatives that we need to go in and really go and support our students. And the biggest thing that we've got restricting us is money. And we do depend on the state. This formula, it needs to get reviewed. It needs to go and get fixed. And we need the people out there in the public to not be shy, pick up the phone, call your state representatives and say, we want this because this is for our kids. And if anyone needs someone to go and sit on the phone with them to go and say, how do I do this? I am happy to go and volunteer my time. Call me, we will go and set up a time, and we can even go and meet with any one of those representatives to go and say, this is important for you. And that's all that I've got to say. Let's go and put a little pressure on them and get them to go and support these kids, because this is important. It's why we do our job. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bernard. Anybody else? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. That carries unanimously. Student enrollment of school department personnel. Ms. Spadafora.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do have a policy that was created by the school committee to allow students of our employees to attend school in the district, barring they meet the qualifications that are laid out in the policy, as well as making sure the policy does state up to 5 kids, so as long as we have space as well. So we did receive a request from an employee of the ELC, and it states, please bear with me because I feel like my glasses aren't working that well this evening. So hello, I'm writing to you to request an approval for my 4-year-old daughter to attend the ELC preschool program for the school year 2024-25 as a non-resident of Malden. My husband and I were both born and raised in Malden and went through the Malden school systems ourselves, and our parents still live here in Malden. I'm going into my 10th year as a teacher here in Malden. I'm currently an ILP teacher. We are currently looking for a home in Malden, but due to transportation difficulties, it would be far too challenging for their daughter to attend preschool in a different city. Thank you for your time. We do have space as we have employees, child just graduated, so we do have space. However, the policy does state that all requests have to come in prior to May 15th. So I am of sticking with policy as much as I wish I could invite all students to come to Malden. We are not a school choice district. We do take on that incurred cost of educating a student from another district if we approve this. And again, we have written this policy with different, implications, but May 15th was the cutoff. And I would not feel right approving something that I have turned down previous teachers in the past because of the same date issue. So I would like to make a motion to not approve the request.
All right, there you have it, everyone. Questions, queries, qualms, concerns? Motion's been made, seconded by, is there a second? Mr. Bernard, for purposes of discussion. Yep. So Mr. Bernard's going to second purposes of discussion.
I understand that we have a fiscal responsibility. We also, and yes, certainly teachers certainly could have gone and they've certainly went and got notice that they had to go in by a certain date. I think where I'm leaning, I think we do have to go and take into consider three aspects. One is that we have a teacher that has been here for 10 years, and we don't want to go and have them have to make a decision because of childcare to not be working for our school systems, because they can't go and they're not going to be able to go and leave Malden and go to wherever they have residence now to go and pick up their child. Do we go and lose that teacher over this? Number two is that with the difficulty of going and finding housing and finding childcare, we're just putting them in a precarious situation. I would have a hard time going and saying no, just out of the sense of compassion, but I understand that if we did go and say, did go and say no to this, that it's just what it is. That's all I have to say on this.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Let's go to Ms. Horty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couple questions about this, actually. One, where is it explicitly written that the 15th is the deadline? Is that in the policy book? Okay, just double checking that. Two, are we basing this, so this child is 4, so they would like to go to the ELC, right? Are we talking about them going to the ELC for this year prior to kindergarten, or are we talking about saying, I guess what I'm saying is, are we talking about a 1 year in ELC, or are we talking about accepting a student into the district for the rest of their educational career? And is there a differential here right now that we're taking into account?
So the request doesn't say just 1 year.
Gotcha.
Our policy says once you're approved, you're here, as long as you like.
Okay.
So
the recourse for this person, then, let's say the committee decides that we're not going to accept this petition, the recourse for this person would be then that they could also apply again next year? Yes?
yeah.
Okay.
And they can also, we do offer a hardship. So in the policy, we have what's called a substantial hardship transfer, which can be granted at the discretion of the superintendent. And they have to prove that it is a hardship on them. And it is detailed, though, if the personnel demonstrates a substantial hardship and the hardship is unique to the family. A substantial hardship transfer is meant to provide for child transfers in the Malden Public Schools if the personnel does not qualify under the normal transfer policy, but has suffered a hardship to include, but not limited, terminal illness or death of a primary caregiver, incarceration of a parent, or deployment of military parent. Substantial hardship requests may be supported with proper detailed documentation when submitted to the superintendent.
Sounds like a little bit more of an extreme case. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? please.
Not so much a question, I just want to respond to my colleagues up here. And I just, I don't want to come across as heartless by any means. I just want you to be prepared to then go back and grant every person that we've ever denied previously after May 15th and say, your students can come, your children can come. That's what happens when you bend the rules. So I don't want to seem, no, I'm sorry. I'm just, I'll look over at Keith because he spoke too. No, I don't want it to seem, but from that standpoint, and we've received many of these requests in years past since this policy was written in 2018. And I say that because I helped develop this policy, because we did want to be able to help those that need to bring their students in, but policies are written with certain language, so we're able to prepare. And I just, I would have a hard time approving this when I said no to somebody last June under the same circumstance, and now, and I'm sorry to look.
Other questions? Any other questions? Everybody understand? So the motion was made, it was seconded for purposes of discussion. It's on the table. Any other final questions? Okay, clerk will call the roll. Yeah. Let's clarify the motion. Ms. Spadafora?
Yeah, so to clarify, the motion was made not to approve. So a yes vote would be not to approve. A no vote would be to approve.
Everybody clear? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Drummy, Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Spadafora?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin? Ms. Orty? Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Regretfully, yes.
Sorry? Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Rose-Zeiberg? Mayor Christensen?
Yes. So that carries,
5.
yeah, 5, two abstentions,
and
2 absences. Yeah. All right, now we're at the point of personal privilege. Left to right, and then we got to go into executive session. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple things I want to put out there. Tomorrow, June 7th, the Salemwood School's holding a carnival and on the field next to Salemwood Park. The only thing I have to contribute is I plan to be there for tomorrow's carnival, and if they can organize it, I'm going into the dunk tank. So if anybody, if you have a desire to take a cheap shot at me, get your throwing arm warmed up, I'll be in the dunk tank, and just pay the PTO, it's for the kids. The second item is June 29th, once again, at Roseville Park. My family will be having an open celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. From 1 to 4 p.m., be a picnic, lawn games. We'll have a live steel drum performance, and it's basically a picnic for socializing. No bouncy houses, no dunk tanks. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Anybody else? Mr. Bernard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing I want to go and say is to our LGBTQIA community, happy Pride. The other thing is that we have a Juneteenth celebration going at Fairway. There's also going to be a Juneteenth celebration going on at Lincoln Commons. I don't have the date, but I'm assuming that it's around the 19th.
It's on the 19th.
I apologize for not having the date ready, but please come down and help go and celebrate that. And to all our children and our students and caregivers and families, hope you have a wonderful summer.
Very good. Thank you. Over to Ms. Rose-Zeiberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the Linden, Field Day is tomorrow. There's a dunk tank and what sounds like a really cool teacher lip sync battle. Next Wednesday is their 8th grade moving up ceremony at 10 o'clock. There's a dance that night from 6 until 8, and they do still need volunteer chaperones for that. So if you can step up for that, they would appreciate it. Congratulations to their kindergarten students who had their ceremony today for moving up, and 8th graders were on hand to help them out, and staff was very much appreciative of all of their efforts. On Monday, 7th grade goes to Franklin Park Zoo, 8th graders are going to Canopy Lake, and next week, students will actually get to go to meet the teachers in their next grade level up. I want to thank everyone who worked on putting together the multicultural event. I was able to go and see a lot of the performances, which were fantastic. Congratulations to all of our graduates. I was able to go to the Pathway ceremony, which is very moving, as well as graduation, so I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, wherever that takes you. Interesting for over the summer, things don't stop right at the ELC. It's exciting. The city will be starting the next phase of the playground redo. It's supposed to scheduled to start June 17th to start construction on that, and the Linden Community Rink, work on that will also be beginning. And, you know, fingers crossed it all goes as planned and it will be up and running and ready for when school commences, which is really exciting. I know that's been a long time coming, so I really appreciate that. Happy Pride Month. And just to let folks know, even without our regularly scheduled meetings, please reach out with any concerns over the summer. Thank you to everybody who's involved with the Malden Public Schools. Have a great summer. And thank you, Superintendent Noriega-Murphy, for everything that you have done and achieved while you have had your time here in Malden. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Horty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to start by congratulating a few different people. One is the cast of Beauty and the Beast Junior at Forest School last week on Thursday and Friday evening. I was fortunate to go Friday. It was quite the performance. I'm sad if you missed it. I also want to congratulate all of the Special Olympians in the district this week. I know that they had a really fun day this past week. I also wanted to do a special shout out to a former Forestdale Falcon, Sophie LeBlanc, who was awarded one of the certificates earlier this evening. And last but not least, 8th graders moving on ceremony at Forestdale will be at 5 o'clock on June 12th, which is especially moving for me. My children have been there since kindergarten, and they started with Mr. Adam, and they're going to end with Mr. Adam, and I'm very excited for them about that, but also very sad. Same vein as Ms. Rose-Zeiberg, I'm here all summer. You know how to find me. If you don't, please contact anyone on the committee and you can get to me. I'm much more available to answer questions because I work in a school system too, so I will be around. Have a great summer, everybody. Enjoy yourselves.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Spadafora?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So tomorrow, BB, we're going to celebrate our kindergarteners in their moving up ceremony at 1:30, as well as the grade 8 moving on ceremony will be on the 12th of June at 11 a.m., followed by their dance at 6 p.m. the same day. Obviously, we all know the last day of school is an 11 a.m. dismissal with no after-school care. You will pick up your kids that day. Let's see, summer reading kickoff is June 20th from 1 to 2:30 at the Malden Public Library with ice cream, music, all sorts of fun stuff. And I too would like to thank Lahia for your time here in Malden. It's been a pleasure. I'm very thankful for a lot of the programs that you brought to Malden because I know our family has benefited immensely. And I'd be remiss to also not thank Miss Emily Pena and Ellen Kelleher Rojas for your time in the district as well. The hard work, dedication does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate your dedication to the students here in Malden. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. So motion by Mr. Bernard, seconded by Ms. Rose-Zeiberg. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Drummy, Mr. McCarthy? Yes. Ms. Spadafora?
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin? Ms. Orty? Yes. Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Ms. Rose-Zeiberg? Yes. Mayor Christensen?
Yes. School committee will now be in executive session.
Thank you, Fox Translation. Even though I can't hear you guys, have a wonderful summer. I don't suspect we'll be coming for any emergency meetings, so we will see you soon. Have a good night.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
School committee is back. We'll now entertain any motions. Motion by Mr. Bernard.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a COLA increase
3%.
of 3% to Superintendent Noriega Murphy, retroactive
To July 1st,
July
2023. Motion made, seconded by Ms. Horty. Any further discussion, any questions, queries, qualms? Let's have the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Drummy, Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Spadafora? No. Ms. Macklin, Ms. Horty? Yes. Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Ms. Rose-Zeiberg? Mayor Christensen?
Yes, that carries. Any other discussion, everyone? Motion to adjourn. And second. And Jen's doing both. No, motion to adjourn, seconded by Ms. Rose-Zeiberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. School committee is hereby adjourned.